From coach, and then ask questions after that.
Okay, well, day 16, looking closer and closer to football. Had some really good situational work today. We went into some third down. We had some last 2-3 play situations of a game. Putting our guys in those situations, making coaches not know the situation until it came up was really good for all of us. So it was a productive day. Things went back and forth, which they should at this point. Things are getting clearer to us as coaches as to who on the depth chart can we count on. We still have some young guys that we still need to push. They're not quite there yet, and a few of them are starting to get it.
We were just talking to Jordan about the statistical leap last year, cutting almost 100 yards per game off as a defense. Do you guys set those kind of goals for what year 2 will be?
No, not from a number standpoint, but we expect to be better than a year ago. As many guys we have back, having our coaches go through our tape, have our guys understand where the issues were, how do we correct those. We should make a quantum leap this year, and I'm fully confident we will. But as far as statistics, it really matters on who you're playing and how the game plays out. So we really don't put a number on those type of things. But as much of an improvement we had last year, it's still not to our standard. We've got to dramatically improve from a year ago.
What do you say the strength of your defense is?
I'd say right now we probably have the biggest nucleus of really solid football players in the secondary. I really like our secondary. I think we've got 4 corners that we feel really, really good about, and the same thing with 4 safeties. So, we can roll those guys. We've got depth of those positions. When we go nickel, one of those corners in the game. Josh has done a great job. Travion's doing some good things. Quentin Tartable. So we've got some different body types as well as some guys that have played football. So it's a really solid unit back there.
Talked about some of the younger guys. What do you think the threshold is for them being able to contribute as much as you'd like?
Well, we're putting the pedal to the metal to see what we can get out of them. You really can't tell to the first game, but we're trying to stress them in the way we practice. When we go up tempo, when we put them in situations, can they handle that? Some guys can, and some guys are still struggling, thinking when they're tired, thinking of the situation and the call, because for most of them it's not just natural yet. And we're going to keep force feeding them reps and see if they can prove that they can be dependable in it. And if they're not ready, then we'll have to put them in situations, not just a whole series.
As a whole, what have you seen from Jordan on the field? Just in terms
Jordan Kanashik, I really like his leadership. He's a guy that's got a lot of physical tools. He's a big physical kid, a very smart football player, so he can play faster than an average guy can because he anticipates things. And I think he's really done a nice job of understanding our package now, so he's playing fast. Coach Sermon's done a tremendous job in getting him that extra half a step in anticipation in everything we do. So I like where he's at, and I like his leadership.
Can you see, big changes in kind of where he was at the end of last year and where he is now? Yeah,
I think so. I thought he steadily improved as the year went on. But like a lot of seniors, Devontae had this kind of a quantum leap a year ago. You start realizing that curtain's going down in your career and everything's just a little bit more important. And I think he's done a good job of taking advantage of every training opportunity, understanding his role as a leader, and so he's embraced all of that.
Do you ever allow yourself to look back at this time last year or last spring when you're teaching basic fundamentals of tackling to where this group is now?
Yeah, no, we kid about it all the time as to how far we've come. But at the same time, you take pride, and I think our players take pride in how far we've come. But at the same time, we're realistic enough to know we're not near where the standard needs to be. And so, yeah, you kind of shake your head as to looking some of the tape from a year ago as to how ugly it looked at times. But now, we've got some guys that understand it much better, and they're doing a great job of teaching those younger guys. Those younger guys still are at the point where they feel like they're taking a sip out of a fire hydrant. So it's coming at them very quickly. Probably haven't been super fair to them. A year ago, we were much slower in our install because they were all new. Now we're going a little bit faster pace, and we got to keep forcing those young guys to get it.
Coach Wilcox has talked a lot about kind of building a team that's tough and smart, and those are kind of things that come with the defense. Do you feel that that's kind of the identity and where the team goes?
Absolutely. I think smart, tough football players defines Cal, but it defines a defense. You've got to be physical in this game. You've got to be mentally tough. You've got to be physically tough. You know, we're going to play against great offenses in this league, and you've got to be mentally tough to know what they're doing, know our assignment. You've got to know mentally, you got to have enough mental toughness that you know that they may make a play and I can't get down. I got to be strong enough mentally to say I'm going to make the next play. And having that grit to persevere through a game and persevere through a situation is something that he does a great job communicating to our team that that's who we are going to be, and he puts us in situations to learn that.
Had a chance to talk to Banjo a little bit last week, and he told me his favorite player was Von Miller, and I imagine that helped in recruiting a little bit.
I think so. I think so, because you know, being a Texas kid, obviously he saw him at A&M and what he's done, you know, for the Broncos, and you know, we had a couple of those conversations that I was fortunate enough to coach him. He's got some skills from the pass rush standpoint. His burst is similar to Vaughn. Now, he's not quite as big, but he's got a really big upside. The thing he's got to do is really bear down on being consistent, knowing our package, being consistent in his fits, and he's not quite there yet. But as a pass rush guy off an edge, you notice him when he's coming off an edge.
He said that you and Coach Tui were there so much that you were family before you even came here. Did you feel that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. You know, he was a high priority guy for us. Yeah. And so Coach Tui and I knew that. In this defense, you've got to have edge guys that can make a difference. And we thought he was one of those special guys. So we were there every week holding on. You know, there was a lot of schools interested in the state of Texas and other places that had offered him. And he had committed to us, but you know, anytime there's an out-of-state commitment, you just never know. You know, we had a young man that we were doing the same thing with, who ended up, you know, leaving late and ended up going to the University of Texas. And you know, the pressure that those guys get in their high schools, it's really tough to say no to an in-state school and go to, you know, a great school like Cal, but they get a lot of internal pressure from the coaches, the teachers, the faculty, the students to stay in that state.
I wanted to ask, you have 3 outside linebackers from Texas. Just, is there anything about Texas high school football that makes that position kind of bigger there? Or?
I don't know that it's Texas high school football that makes it bigger. You know, I think we are fortunate in finding guys that fit the physical characteristics we're looking for. I do think that Texas high school football is as good as anywhere there is in the country. The coaches in Texas do a tremendous job of developing young talent. The infrastructure there, from the middle schools to the high schools, having as many teachers on campus that are also football coaches is rare across the country. And so I think that gives a young man an advantage in that they understand a year-round program. You know, in California, we've got tremendous high school coaches too, but sometimes just because of the nature of the school district or whatever, you know, their coaches may not be on campus.
Yeah. And
so they don't see them at 0 period, weightlifting period, you know, PE at the end of the day, as like they do in Texas.
Okay.
Thank you, Coach.
Oh, no worries.
Thank you so much.